My name is Tracy Betteridge, and this is my first journal entry for my video training journal, and I'm starting with a year in review. Over the last year with our 4 horses, I embarked on the Straightness Training Mastery course. It's a year-long course, essentially learning groundwork. I was specifically interested in the haunches in and shoulder in and half pass work that they do. So I almost fully committed myself for a year to learning this program and teaching my horses what I was learning. And you are seeing some clips of the start of that. This is our local dressage judge, Betty Jo Crosby, who came over to investigate the groundwork she heard that I was doing with my horses. So there's another Dano haunches in. And then also part of the program, they do ride in a bareback pad or bareback, and Benny doesn't really have a saddle that fits very well. So I started doing some bareback riding with him. And this is also to help me work on my seat, which has gotten a bit stiff over the years. Here Benny's doing shoulder in. My gorgeous Arena. Back to more of this groundwork with Fina. She's 3, so I'm really focusing on just getting her to learn to walk around me. And then with this is Dano. Canter work was hard. It took me a year to teach him canter. This is his first summer really working in the canter. He was a horse that didn't really want to go forward, so and he's stiff in his back. So I'm really trying to work on looseness with him and getting him to stretch down into the bit. He's getting there. He would rather just kind of go slow and not track up, but he's got a beautiful walk when he's using himself. And then here's more with work with Dano on another day. And again, he likes to put his head up in the air in the canter, and I'm really right now just trying to finesse him and convince him to come over his back in the canter and not go with his head and neck straight in the air. And again, my 3-year-old Fina, this is just a whole year of that kind of stuff, not really asking a lot of her. Also in the Straightness Training Program, they do work in hand. So this is my attempt at work in hand with Benny. And then that was Dano. And more with Geo. Again, getting Geo to work over his back, use himself athletically, but I had gone into more of a higher frame with him. I was working first level, second level movements, working on a little collection. So you're seeing a lot of that here. Here's a haunches in at the walk that is with Geo again. And he kind of has the same issue with Dano. They're full brothers. They like to go canter with their heads in the air. So just working on trying to get them to canter in a relaxed way. Here I thought I would try a couple walk steps and then go right into the canter. That didn't look great. Geo walking outstretched. This is some beautiful scenery here. Fina with the groundwork. And then on to another ride with Geo. I always let him scratch his nose before the canter work, and I tighten the girth. But again, in this ride, I'm working more in a collected frame. Probably not enough stretching, I'm realizing now. It should be mostly stretching, some work collected in a higher frame, and I was working mostly in a higher frame and not enough stretching. So, and again, just the work with Geo. He's looking quite muscled up here, getting fit over the summer, looking more like his brother. He's got quite a long back, so it's difficulty getting his top line in shape. It's a nice halt with him. And again, more Geo, kind of the same stuff. I think here I was asking for a little bit of a lengthen. He's starting to come under himself a little bit, and time to work on that at that point. I think his canter over the summer was getting softer and a lighter feeling. The year before, he would take the bit and run, and it was kind of a bit out of control most of the time. So he's much more controlled. So we're doing a stretchy trot. I always end on a nice long rein at a walk. And then another ride with Geo. This is probably the peak of his fitness over the summer and what we were working on. Backing up, looking for diagonal steps. So it looks like we're getting there. I'm using the bridle here. This is canter leg yield, but the straightness training mastery program in their riding portion, they use a curb bit and with a cavesson, so you have just one bit in the mouth, but it's like using a double bridle. And I was experimenting with that over the summer, and watching my videos back, I had too much tension on that curb rein riding off of that. It really needs to be much looser. Again, ending that ride on a nice long walk. And again, back to this is Dano and then Geo, work in hand, and just more practicing these modules, working on the groundwork with Benny's good at the groundwork. Here's a fall ride with Dano. Again, working on backing up with him. Yeah, we need to work on those diagonal steps. And then beautiful day again, haunches in at the walk. And then again, the same stuff with his canter. Incrementally, it's getting better. I'm getting him a little bit more over his back. Nice walk here. Again, he's just got a great walk naturally. And then I do walk sets and stretching in between the canter to try to get him to his back to be looser. And he's getting there. Again, I think he's developing his top line, not quite wanting to stretch down sometimes, so that tells me he's getting tired. But I did do a little more this beautiful fall day. Now I'm on to Geo, same day. And again, I have him in that curb bit, and we're doing more collected work here with him. And it was such a beautiful day. I decided instead of cutting out parts, I'm going to show you the entire arena if you just want to enjoy the beautiful fall day and the scenery in the background. Just look at how gorgeous this day was. So this is my tour of the arena for you. And again, the same day, and here we are with Geo, and I'm doing a serpentine here with him, trying to get him to change the bend. He's a little stiff this direction, doesn't quite want to bend that way. Working on our backing up, and I think that we get some good diagonal pairs here. That's what we're looking for, diagonal, the legs going back in diagonal pairs. The steps could be bigger, but I'm happy with that for where we are. There, I got that curve rein loose. Or canter with Geo, it's almost slowing down too much. So he's not running away with me anymore, but it could be that I have this curb rein on as well, which honestly had been helpful with him not being able to grab the bit and take off and run. When he spooks, he bucks and bolts, so it was helpful. Nothing I'll continue to use in the future as I'm done with the straightness training course and I'm ready to get back to real dressage work. But here, a nice, more collected canter for him. It was just felt kind of soft and easy. Back to the straightness training module for riding with Benny. I tried him in a curb bit in the cavesson. Mainly, I had been riding him in just the cavesson, but he seemed to do the same and not mind. He's just a super horse. Haunches in with him there riding, and then I did do a little trot this day on him bareback, which was my legs. I'm stretching them out. Benny is such a saint. That was quite. They were feeling kind of rubbery, and because of that, I parked Benny up next to the mounting block to dismount because I was feeling a little shaky after doing the sitting trot. But he is, I call him Saint Benny. He's just the greatest horse. The grandkids can ride him. He's pretty safe. And then more with Fina. Again, I'm just still not asking a whole lot. I'm asking her to bend around me, maybe lower her head. That's what I want right there. Maybe a little more bend, but I want her to lower her head, come over her back, and walk around me in circles. Back to Dano. Another beautiful fall day. Just kind of continuing with the same work for him. I included this shot just because the sun was so pretty in the background. It's just so gorgeous. And And then working on a walk leg yield with him here at this point, and just helping with the suppleness of his back. And then also working with the walk half pirouettes there, and then more trot work again. He's a little spooky at that end of the arena, working on his canter. His head's up a little bit too much here, but he was really looky this day. There, I got him to come over his back. Just kind of working on that and just subtly asking. I think it's going to be a few years before I think he gets it really nicely through in his back in the canter. And again, the trot work, just trying to reinforce come over your back. My reins are too short. He can't go all the way to the ground. I have ordered a longer set of reins so we can get him to the ground. Back to Geo, walk, working on the walk half pirouette there for him. And leg yield at the walk for Geo. I'm still in the straightness training equipment. My year isn't quite up yet. I'm still hardcore studying their modules at this point. This was just a beautiful scene right here. And then it was getting dark. We're working on the canter, but I'm very happy with how his canter was progressing. It was nice and soft, flowing. It felt easy. Maybe he needs a little more activity behind in that. I think now that he's slowed down, I'm finding I'm needing to add more leg, but just he's really coming around here. And another scene, just because it's so beautiful in the sky in the background. Back to groundwork with Fina, working on keeping her leaning forward and keeping her center of mass back. And again, just basic walk in circles around me in a very relaxed way. I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on her, being only 3 years old, just getting the basic ideas of groundwork. I didn't want to work her too hard because her joints, I feel, are not ready to be stressed. So this is all just casual, easy work. And then Benny, I decided that jumping up from the mounting block was still a little too much. So I asked him to park up next to the carriage with the mounting block. So I have an even higher step to step on so I can gently get on his back as opposed to jumping up and over, which could be scary some days. And here we are again on this beautiful fall day, haunches in with Benny. I'm back to just using the cabezon on him. He doesn't need a bit in his mouth at all. Shoulder 4, and I decided to just do the whole long side of this arena. Look at that background, look at the footage. I'm so fortunate to have such a beautiful, beautiful space to work in. We just put this arena in this last year, so I hadn't had it. This is my first year with a good footing to work in. And then we drove into the indoor next door because of the snow. And on this day, I'm just doing some of this. It's again straightness training Liberty module, and I'm just working on that here with Dano on this day. He does it really well. It's my first time bringing Fina over to the indoor this winter. She was a little nervous. I brought her in. She's very looky. But right there, I thought she might panic, but she stood very well. I adjusted her equipment. I was very happy being in a place. There's all kinds of equipment in there. There's hay bales at the end. There's equipment parked everywhere. There's a ditch dug along the side for drainage. So she's nervous. So I'm taking her around the arena so she can take a look at it before we go to work. And then once she looked at everything, she was good and she settled right in. And she's still a little nervous here, but right after that, she settled in and went to work. And we even worked on a half pass. So, and a couple of good steps. So she's just learning this. So not perfect, but I was happy with that. And then Drea came over, and in December, Drea started riding with me to help me with working Dano, and we're planning to do a pas de deux at some point, a training level 1. So this is just some cool video of her and I practicing together. This arena is a small space. It's hard to work the horses right next to each other, so we're working them individually. And I'm going to have her show him individually. And I think at the shows, you've got to get scores to do the freestyle pas de deux, so she'll have to do that. But so this is just some clips of us working, and Geo's really funny. Whenever he gets near Dano, though, he will lay his ears back, and when we get near him, he speeds up and kind of takes over. And so we're working on that relaxation, because then I've got to give huge half halts, and it's tense and not pretty. So again, we'll have to work on. It's a whole nother thing to have the horses work side by side. It's not as easy as it sounds, but it'll get there. They're brothers, and they kind of can fight. That was a walk canter transition, which I kind of screwed Geo up a little bit doing those, because then he's anticipating the canter. But this was just a pretty picture. Again, I think that was Geo. Back to the outdoor arena. The footing is kind of hard, but I'd much rather be outside. We're working on our canter. Back to normal bridle. And again, here's me practicing a center line for shows for next year. And I might do an online dressage test if I can ever get one filmed. And this is working on the backing up, and I'm looking for diagonal pairs, and there, yes, there, yes, I'd like to see him lower his hind end a little more, but I was happy with that. And working the trot work again, the background in this arena is just gorgeous with the sun hitting us. And again, I need to get longer reins so you can stretch all the way to the ground. Trot, the haunches in. Again, I'm in a little more of a collective frame. This video, that piece is just because it's so pretty. And again, trying to get him to walk out, stretch down. He's a little looky on this day. He's wanting to spook a little bit. I'm trying to get him to relax. So he is starting to settle in. And then a beautiful sunset working with Benny. And again, the groundwork. And Benny and I started working on half pass. And again, he's only done this a couple of times. And I thought he did very well. I was really happy with what he gave me here. And we stopped on that. Back to another pas de deux practice with Drea, and she's riding Dano and I'm riding Geo. I think it's going to be so much fun when we get this together. But just a fun video of us working. Nothing here coordinated, but this is just what I caught on camera when the two of us were both in range of the camera. So it looks kind of cool, I think, on video. And Geo's getting a little laying his ears back, coming next to his brother. And just working on leg yield here at the walk. And I thought this was kind of out here. We're working on our trot work. Again, I'd like to see them both come over their backs more. Yeah, so this is a cool shot coming into the fence, and then I cross back over, and again, Ray and Geo look good there. And again, coming by, Geo was a little tense. This is just a beautiful scene in the background. Look at that sky. And it's getting dark. I'm working on canter work with Geo. We're back into some plain snaffle, and he feels really good and light. Again, now that he's not running away with me in the canter, I really need to get him also to try to come over his back a little bit more. But I had been doing a lot of more collected work. I need to do more stretching. And there's just another shot of us together. I thought that was a nice soft transition for Geo. And we ran out of light, but we did a little bit of side-by-side work. And I thought that went okay, but I did run out of light. And then boom, back to, this is January now, and the arena is hard as a rock, but I'm able to work out in it a little bit. I love being out in the sunshine, even if it's a cold day. I'm asking a little more of Fina now, a little more demanding of bending around me. And asking for her to become a little more stepping through with the hind leg. And then when I start, I want her to start with that hind leg. So I'm asking her to bend, I'm asking her to come over her back, and I'm asking her to step through with that hind leg and prep for we get to real lunging. And that's just a beautiful scene with Benny. And then we were doing Liberty, he found the camera, almost lost my camera. And then we're back into the arena. I think this is still the end of January. I'm riding Geo here. They're very backed off in the indoor. Working on his backing up. Yep, I got my diagonal pairs, got the diagonal pairs. He could be over his back and a little more relaxed in that. But anyway, they're this is pretty going through the light. I got a good photo session on that wall from this day. The camera was swinging around and had some blurriness, but I had some little bit of good video. Here's Dano, and yeah, Dano likes to spook a lot. That's typical. I just try to keep working. And spook number 2. Yeah. All right, and just keep working. And then Dano doing his doing haunches in at the walk. So I learned that in the straightness training on the ground, and I transferred it to the ridden work. Here's Dano backing up. I'm very happy with this. Look at his diagonal pairs. And I even saw a little lowering of his hind end, so that's wonderful. That's what you're looking for in that. And then with Dano again, asking him to stretch over his back and really come forward and use himself athletically and step up under himself. And I just want him to go in a very relaxed, over his back way. He's shaking his head a little bit, but again, the canter, he's back up head too high. I'm trying to finesse him into coming over his back. He was very lucky this day in spooking, so it doesn't help with the canter work when you're trying to get over their back. And here he is again, just again with the trot, and I'm just saying, hey, let's pay attention to me. I'm doing a lot of trot stretching and walking, stretching, and then going back to a little bit of canter work, and again trying to get him to relax and come over his back in the canter. I thought that was a good transition for him right there. I was happy with that, and he stepped through from behind a little bit over the back there. I liked it. That was good for where he's at, and he was very backed off and spooky in the indoor. So we just walked out and cooled down, and then I did a little halt for the end of our ride, which I thought was square and good. And then we were done. And then we're coming into another practice with Drea. So again, I'm riding Geo and she's riding Dano. And this is in February after the polar vortex assaulted us. So you can see all the snow that came into the arena. The footing's actually okay. It's hard in some spots, but right on this area, it was okay. And a little more collected frame again with Geo, but I think he can be stretched over his back more, which I start working on. His go-to is to kind of crunch back in on himself and then when he gets near Dano, he does the same thing. He kind of speeds up and gets, we have a discussion at that point. But here I think, so he's either backed off and rushing forward or kind of too slow, and the canter work I think is suffering in here. I'm just not getting him forward. And I don't know, some of it could be the footing, but then I go back to the stretching work, and then Drea and I'm asking her to do the same thing to try to get Dano over his back as much as possible. I feel like they've both lost their top line a little bit over the winter, as in terms of they're not getting ridden as much. I can't ride them as much. Drea's been coming once to twice a week. She's missed some weeks because of illness or weather or other family obligations. So we're doing what we can, but because they are so unfit and losing their top line, I want us to go back the next couple of months of mostly just stretching them over the top line. If you ever watch Will Faber, Art to Ride, he's got some good education, good training tips and why it's important to work the horses over their back in the long and low frame to develop their top line. So because of the straightness training, I discovered YouTube, and on YouTube I discovered Will Faber. My neighbor mentioned it, and I've been watching his videos a lot. He's got some really good insights, free information about training. He's really amazing, and I through him I realized I wasn't riding my horses enough long and low and over their back enough, which is not great for their top line. So that was a canter transition with Geo. Again, we've kind of had some backwards progress. I was doing walk canter, and it's kind of messed up our trot canter transitions at the moment, but we'll work through that. And then I'm back to Fina. Here again, this is still in February. She's getting ready to turn 4 in March. I'm increasing my demands. I'm going to start doing more work at the trot for her. She's going to start doing some riding education. So I've been working with getting her to stand at the mounting block. This day she usually stands, but this day she backed up. I think she thought she was going to get a treat already, and so I said, no, you gotta come up here and you gotta stand and you gotta wait for me. I like to put my leg over her, put some weight on her back, and then what I've been having her do is stand and wait, and then I give her the treat. And here again, she's anticipating that treat, so I had to kind of rethink that and work on that a little bit. Again, back to the lunging over her back like I like. She could be more active in her leg. And then we were working on haunches in through the corner here, so just more on that. Back to a ride with Geo, and here I'm really put on a set of longer reins. They're training reins. I've ordered a longer set for showing. He could be more active in the hind leg, but I feel like we got to get his top line back in shape. So I'm doing as much long and low right now as I can, and the footing was. He kind of comes up on his own. I ask him to go down. He wants to come up, but that's how he's been used to going. So footing was really hard on this day, and so I didn't do any canter work that day. And this is my first real lunging lesson with Fina, and I'm going to